Hi, this is Greg Kihlstrom. Welcome to the Agile World podcast, where we discuss customer experience, employee experience, and transformation in an agile age. The Agile World podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To read more about the topics discussed on this show, you can go to my website at theagile.world and read my latest articles or get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, a blueprint for creating an experience-led organization, now available on Amazon and other retailers. Hi, this is Greg Kihlstrom with the Agile World. Today we're going to talk about the Center of Experience. My most recent book is called The Center of Experience. It talks about the need for organizations to centralize not only their customer experience work and teams, but their employee experience work and teams as well. The Center of Experience really is a blueprint for how a company can centralize all of the different aspects of experience, and by centralizing it and understanding it, they can be more effective. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that means and what it means to an organization to really set up this Center of Experience. It's really based on the concept of a center of excellence, and so a center of excellence around experience. So shorthand would be Center of Experience. So as customer experience and employee experience continue to grow in their importance, I think that most of you listening today really understand that it is important. And a Gartner survey from a couple of years ago, back in 2017, said, 66% of businesses say they compete primarily on the basis of customer experience. That number has undoubtedly increased, more recently. What this means is that, over 3/4 of businesses are competing on this basis of experience. It's not product differentiation. It's not some of the other things that traditionally they were competing on. It is really experience. And there's a couple aspects to that. This customer, this outward facing, and this employee or inward facing components to it. The interesting thing about the employee focus is it doesn't just matter to employees either. Another statistic, I forget the exact percentage, but something like 70+% of the reason why people support Starbucks is because of the way that they treat their employees. Starbucks is very vocal and, about the way that they treat, they give health insurance and benefits and stuff like that, and good wages and things. So, customers see that, they hear that, and they support the organization. So, being great to your employees can have a great effect with your customers as well. The Center of Experience contains a number of different aspects. And I'm going to talk about most of these in the subsequent episodes on this show. I encourage you to buy the book, The Center of Experience, to learn more, but I'll just kind of briefly go through them here now so you understand. So at the very center of this is this employee. As I was talking about on the last episode, that motivated employee that really not only understands the values of the organization, but feels valued and valuable to the organization is really the center of this Center of Experience. They are part of the internal team, and there's going to be external teams involved as well. So most organizations, if they don't have this formal center of excellence around experience, they do have some kind of notion of there might be a customer experience team, there might be an employee experience team. They might be working on some collaborative groupings across the enterprise. The Center of Experience really gives a model for that, and really with the premise that there may be existing components that are working just fine. So, as I go through and list some of these, you'll probably say, well, we've got that part working just fine. That's great. And that means that you don't have to rethink or restructure one of the pieces of this, but you can adopt the components that do make sense. So in addition to internal and external teams involved, there are data science components. So as artificial intelligence, machine learning, other data science applications, every organization understands the value of these. They're not necessarily getting the value from them yet, but I think they understand the potential benefits. Data science plays such a key role in not only understanding what's working and what's not, but as we talk about AI, machine learning, we not only need to understand what's working, but we need to adapt and in a way that humans simply can't do on their own. We need to be able to understand data in real time and near real time and be able to adapt and adjust with the vast amounts of data that's available. So that's the second component. The third component is branding. And so that is external branding as well as internal branding. And I'll talk about that more in a later episode. Next, we come to governance. So this is how the processes and the practices to ensure consistency and compliance are handled. So, it's not enough to say that we're going to do things. We need a process that not only do we know how it's done, but how do we know if it's working well? And if it's not working well, how do we improve it? What's the process to do that? Who owns that? All of those types of questions are answered with governance. Next component is the organizational culture. I'll talk about that in a lot more depth in another episode as well, and I go into a lot of detail in the book about this. So the diagnostics and the processes to enable culture change where needed is critical. The first step is to understand what the current culture is and really map that to not only where does leadership need the company to be. A good example of this would be a very innovative company with a lot of team collaboration and things like that may be less focused on sales and growth and repeatable processes and things like that. So an organizational shift, you don't want to lose innovation, you don't want to lose that camaraderie, but you do need to make a bit of a shift towards, okay, well, all of those things are great, but we also have to make money. So understanding what leadership needs as well as what employees are both perceiving in the organization as well as what they want. And so when we understand, I refer to this as the culture gap. When we understand what employees are currently perceiving, what employees desire, as well as what leadership desires, we can kind of triangulate with those three different points on, okay, this is where we currently are, this is where we need to go, and we can take actions and steps to get where we need to go. And properly motivated employees that are really bought into the values of the company will be along for the ride. The sixth element is environments. So this includes both the physical environment, such as for employees, this would be, the workspace, the office, things like that. For customers, it would be, a retail, like a store, environments where they would go into and, physically. It wouldn't be a customer's house because that's their own, but it would be a store that they go into, restaurant, so on and so forth. It also includes the virtual environments. So what is it like to interact with the company, both as an employee as well as a customer? What are the interfaces that you have and what are those like? The next element is measurements. So, just as we were talking about governance and, the process to make changes, measurements really tells us, okay, well, how are we performing? And, what could we do better? What do we need to measure better? Again, both on the customer and the employee experience side. And then finally, platforms. So these are related to virtual environments in some cases. These are related to measurements because they're certainly tracked. But what are the applications that you use, and what are the what is the machinery that you use? What are all of those different types of things that you interact with, and that are really supported by the organization as a whole, for both the customers and the employees. So those are the key aspects, the 8 elements of this entire experience ecosystem So the rationale for the center of experience, let's talk about that for a minute, and just a few reasons why this becomes so important. So a center of experience centralizes experience within an organization. And so, a lot of companies that I work with have, they may have some people that are dedicated to customer experience or employee experience. Sometimes their role may be, on the CX side, it may be a marketer who is adopting, CX as an additional, let's say, an additional role or things like that. Or they may have started in marketing and transitioned over to CX or things like that. On the EX side, it may be someone in an HR capacity, or sometimes even in an HR technology capacity. But the idea behind the center of experience is that it centralizes all of this. So it doesn't necessarily mean that an organization needs to change its structure. So it doesn't need to create a brand experience department. I think it would be unrealistic for any large organization to just do something like that overnight or quickly. The idea is it centralizes experience without having to do that. So in other words, different practitioners from different areas of the organization come together, they talk, they strategize, and they bring their expertise from their different areas. So we've got branding people, we've got marketing people, we've got HR people, we've got IT, all of these different practice areas within an organization working together. They still own their respective pieces. Marketing doesn't change their role, but they understand that the external as well as the internal communications is a key part of experience. And so working together without changing the structure of the organization is really one of the underlying principles of this. So being able to do that, it creates this common operating system, which is a brand experience. Again, not just CX or EX, it's brand experience within the organization. I think the other big reason for this line of thinking with the center of experience is it helps experience itself to be measured, and the goals are centralized and accountable. So what this means is, I think I talked about this a little bit previously, is instead of measuring a tactic and a tactic's individual success, we are looking holistically at not just customer experience or employee experience, but we're looking at experience at a whole. We obviously want to measure customer experience and measure that customer journey. We want to measure the employee journey and the employee experience individually, but having the center of experience lets us take a look holistically on when we have happy employees. So for a very sales-driven organization, for instance, when we have happier employees, do our sales go up? Are customers buying more? Are they buying more often? Are they recommending more often? When we have great customer experience, same thing. I do strongly believe that great customer experience starts internally at the employee, but looking at both of these, and then again, most importantly, looking holistically, we can start to see relationships between, again, great employee experience and happy customers and great customer experience. I'll continue to talk more about the center of experience in some of the podcast episodes to follow. This is Greg Kihlstrom. Thanks for listening. Thanks again for listening to the Agile World podcast, brought to you by TEKsystems. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom. You can learn more and get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, from my website at theagile.world or on Amazon or other retailers. Until next week, stay agile.